Hi, I'm Nate Flax.
I'm Noah Longworth McGuire, and I am back after my injury to co-host Talking Lion. Talking Lion is a podcast focused on artist-to-artist conversations.
We're primarily artists, a duo called Sleeping Lion. And throughout our career as songwriters and producers, we've had the opportunity to work with so many incredible rising artists.
Talking Lion is about hitting record on the conversations we've had with our musical friends and collaborators to get a glimpse into what their life's been like and where it's going.
A few reminders before we start.
Firstly, we now have a Patreon for fans of the show to show their support and help keep the show going.
As a Patreon subscriber, not only will you earn rewards, but you'll also gain exclusive access to a chat room in our Discord server.
Here you can talk with us and even suggest questions for our guests.
Go to patreon.com/talkinglion to subscribe.
We appreciate your support.
As we mentioned, we also have a Discord server that's become a sort of community hub for Sleeping Lion and Talking Lion. We're very active on there and very eager to talk to you about who you are on the show and how you feel about the new episodes, as well as just talking about life.
So yeah, come through and you can talk with us. You can make some new friends, share your art, and share your memes.
Go to sleepinglionmusic.com/discord to join our server.
We hope to see you there.
Lastly, our face is on a shirt. We have shirts now for Talking Lion with our faces on them. If you want to wear us on your shirt, buy a shirt. It helps support the show, and it shows your friends that you like Sleeping Lion and Talking Lion.
You can find these shirts on our website, sleepinglionmusic.com/store. Pro tip: Patreon supporters of the honorary Lion tier or higher will get a free shirt.
Now back to the show.
We recorded this episode with our friend Lauren Spencer-Smith.
We first connected with Lauren through our lawyer, David, and we did a couple of sessions over Zoom. Later, she visited us in Los Angeles, where we wrote a song together called Best Friend with her best friend, Gina Fontanella.
We recorded this remotely following the release of her song Back to Friends, which recently went viral on TikTok.
Not only does Lauren have one of the most incredible and powerful voices we've ever heard, but she also is a genius when it comes to social media, understanding how to authentically connect with millions of people through her music. We loved writing with her, and we had a great time talking in this episode. So,
without further ado,
I'm Lauren Spencer-Smith, and this is Talking Lion.
well, hey.
hello.
Hey.
It's good to see you. It's good to see him. I'm glad for people who don't know, you were in injury land.
I was in injury land, yeah. I fell off a bird scooter in Rome and broke my shoulder in 4 different places, and now I'm in a sling, but still able to podcast.
A real Roman holiday.
A truly
Can you
Roman
play the
holiday.
guitar still?
I cannot.
can't.
That's the thing I can't do.
Oh my goodness.
I can kind of play piano if I'm in the right position, but I have to rotate my entire body to move up and down the keyboard.
That
We
is
have a
so
show coming
awful.
up too. I think he's just gonna karaoke it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna karaoke
sit.
the show.
What's funny is every time I go on one of those scooters, Joe, I was like, we need to go on a bird one. Those are the fastest ones to go on. And now you injured yourself on that one, so I'm not going on it anymore.
There's a series of intersecting tram tracks in Rome. I don't know if I was going too fast or too slow, but one way or another, I hit these tram tracks. And it completely rattled the wheels of this thing, and I just fell right on my shoulder.
Not funny, sorry.
Honestly, of all the things to break, this is the best thing that I could have broken because the impact was really bad. And if it had been my head, I'd probably have brain damage. And if it had been my hand, I probably would have lost the hand, at least for a really long time. So I'm really just grateful to be okay, that it's more of an annoying injury and not a really life-threatening one.
Well, when it first happened, you were making jokes about it. We didn't realize it was as serious until a little bit later.
I had no idea it was a break. I got up. I'm just hurt my arm, but at least it's not broken, because I'm it would hurt a lot more if it was broken. But I guess that's not how adrenaline works.
No, when
Human
you fall,
bodies,
the adrenaline too.
baby.
All my friends got in a really bad car accident a couple months ago, and they called me being hey, we're all good, totally fine, just got in a really bad accident, we're great. And then I was oh, okay, he gets their friend. The next morning, my friend called me bawling his eyes out. He's it was really scary. And I was you definitely were in shock or
crazy.
something.
Shock is crazy.
Yeah, I walked home. I walked a mile home.
Wow.
Because what else was I supposed to do?
Yeah, not gonna hop on another
That's
bird
insane.
scooter.
Yeah, that I couldn't have done because I couldn't lift my arm up, which probably should have been an indicator.
But yeah, happy to have him back. Happy to see you. We haven't seen you since you were in LA.
I know, a really long time.
We wrote a tune together when you were in town with Gina.
I know. I'm all of my friends are obsessed with that song. Every time I get in the car, they're
That's
play
fun.
it.
I really
play it.
like
And I'm
that
I
one.
really
okay.
it was in my head this morning because I was reminiscing. I could splice in a little preview right here of the demo, just
I just kissed my best friend. Don't know how it happened. Should've seen it coming. Oh shit, did I like it? Was it just the vodka?
my goodness, yes.
But yeah, that was fun. We wrote about kissing our best friends.
No, anytime one of my friends gets back from like a party and they're like, oh, this happened, like my first instinct is like playing that song and being like, oh my God, do you relate to this?
That's fun.
I love that second verse. The friends don't care, my boyfriend.
Your girlfriend is when you're unavailable, like get jealous. Like that line is so good.
Friends don't care who your girlfriend is, but when you're unavailable, I get jealous. Oh, 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 oh. Maybe I just want you to myself sometimes. Doesn't really mean I wanna make you mine. Oh, 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 oh.
No, I want to release that song so bad, but
We're down whenever,
no, I'm down too. I think I'm releasing like another song, and I think I'm going to do an EP, and I want it on my EP. So definitely like within the next 6 months.
Hey,
Very cool.
Super down for that. I think it was just also fun, like seeing you in person, because we had like kind of connected virtually, and also just like writing with Gina, because we knew Gina from like around, but we had never like written with her. So it was cool to like all of us meeting in person, writing.
Yeah.
You guys have a crazy writing chemistry.
We're like obsessed with each other. Like we message each other every day I'm gone, and we're like, we miss you. Like I think we need to be roommates forever. Like
No, she's really, really cool. And it was cool writing with her too, because she's such a strong writer, but we both have like a very similar like approach to writing. So a lot of it was like if somebody was watching us writing, it would look like we were arguing, but we were really just like sword fighting. It was like, it felt a lot more like we were like just trying to like squeeze out the best line from each other. And it was I love writing like that. Like I love like somebody who cares about the words and cares about the vibe of the song.
Yeah, we put a lot of work into that song, and I think it shows. I think it came out a really tightly written pop song.
Yeah, no, I never want to see like videos of me writing, because I swear sometimes I feel like people say stuff and I'm instantly like, no, that's bad. We're not doing that. We can't do that. And then like I realize what I said, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I just like completely shot down your idea. That was so mean. But like, when you have a thought in your head and other people saying ideas, it's like messing with like your train of thought, and like you're just on the edge of like figuring out what the lyric is, and then you're like, no, be quiet, that's bad, and then you're like, oh my God.
I don't think people realize how much of sessions is just saying no to stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot of the times you write 9 bad lines before you get one decent one that everyone's like, I think I am okay with this. And how many lines in the moment feel like you're settling on them and then grow on you over time?
Yeah, so many times I'm like, we'll just come back to it. And then I'm like, low-key, it's fire though.
One of my favorite things about writing with Stolar was he would always say like, this is good. We have it if this is it, but I think you can beat it. Like I love people who like throw down the gauntlet to like.
Gina says that to me all the time. She's like, I think we can beat it, but like if you want to move on to finish the rest of the song, we can.
Bane of my existence though is when you write something that is like, that's the best thing that I can write today, and somebody says, well, that's a pre-chorus, and I'm like, that was my chorus.
No, I hate that. I don't understand how people write alone, because I literally, the amount of times I say stuff and then it's like oh, that's not that great, or it's like, oh my God, that's genius, and I never would have thought it was bad or genius if someone in the room didn't tell me that it was. Like I love bouncing my ideas off people. I know some people that write alone, and I'm like, how do you come up with that by yourself? Like I need to collaborate with people.
Well, it's also about imagination. I mean, when the song is starting, you're hearing all of the like what the song can be, and like the best case scenario is everybody's hearing the same imaginary song as opposed to like what's actually in the room. But Noah and I have actually run into trouble in our experiences of where I'm writing one song and he's writing another song, and we don't realize that we have two different ideas of what's happening.
Yeah,
like
and you just can't write like that when you're hearing it differently, because then you're not writing the same song.
It's crazy.
Me and Gina totally do that, and then I'll be like, dude, like I'm seeing it this way, and then instantly she's like, oh, okay, like we were doing polar opposite things, and I'm like, okay, let's get on the same train.
It's a weird kind of magic. Like I don't want to be like, oh, songwriting is such a magical experience, but there is something like,
but like it is.
Yeah,
though.
There's something kind of cool
I
about
get so
like
much serotonin from like writing music, and like I found too, like after I went to LA for like 3 months, and I was just literally writing. I felt almost every single day. So like by the end of it, and that was my first time like being in sessions. Like for a long time, it was just like during COVID, I just did Zoom sessions with Gina. I was just kind of getting into like working with other people.
When we
And so,
we
like-
met first doing Zoom. Like we did a Zoom session.
Yeah.
Actually, when you were in Italy,
Yeah.
I was in Connecticut and you were in Canada.
Yeah. And so like I was just doing that, but not with that many people. Like honestly, it was mainly just Gina. And so I came out to LA, and then like as obviously months went by and I was writing every single day, I learned like how I like to write and like what I like to like do in a session, like more. And so I now only write when like I don't just like schedule a session and like if I don't feel like I have something to write about. Like when I schedule a session, I already have like 3 concepts and I'm like, I'm going to save it for that session. Or I feel like I'm going to go into that room and be like, I don't really know what I want to write about. Like I found now that I'm writing about such specific things in my life, immediately when they happen, I'll call like one of my writers, Tim, and I'm like, can we write about this like literally in like 4 hours? And he's like, I'm clearing my schedule. Let's write about it. And then like I get so much serotonin because I'm like, I just feel like that I got so much closure from the situation now because I wrote a song about it. The song's done. I get to share with the world and they're going to know it's about them. It's going to be problematic.
Because it's therapeutic, it's almost like that thing you do when you are going to therapy, which is like, you're like, oh, I'm going to talk, like you see something in your weekend, like, oh, I'm going to talk about that this week.
Gonna
you
talk
know?
about that in
I'm going to talk
therapy.
about that little thing that happened
No,
this week.
literally.
You know, I actually have a hard time like with concept writing. Like, I know you are, you have concepts.
I like writing
you
from
like
concepts
writing
because it's
from
very
concepts.
neat because it's like there's a thesis and then you just get to like expound on the thesis.
So for me, what's really what I
But
love.
you're a concept writer too.
I'm
you,
a concept
you just
writer
don't
too.
come
I
in
just
with
don't
concepts.
come in with
yeah.
concepts because what I love doing is I love taking, okay, well, here's this experience, then here's this experience, and I don't know what links them, but I'm gonna find the common thread between the two. But it's just a different way of doing it. I'm not saying like, oh well, mine is the way to do it. When I'm writing, I think for myself, though, I think I get really intimidated by concepts.
I have a lot of things like that I'm like genuinely like if it's hurting me, the situation I want to write about, I'm like, we can't write about that yet.
You're
Like
not
I'm
there
just
yet,
not,
yeah.
I'm not emotionally stable enough to be writing about that. But I found more like now I'm like with Back to Friends, like if I come in with the concept, I'm like, okay, let's write a song about how I want to go back to friends with someone. Like I also know exactly what I want to say in the verse and the pre, like before I'm even there. I feel like I've already written the song in my head, but I just don't have melody, but I know exactly what I want to say. Like literally the first lyrics are like, guess you were right to hide the way you feel. And like instantly I was like, can we talk about how like he like always hid how he felt and like we just pretended like we weren't anything. And the next, the next lyrics are like, we kept pretending like it wasn't real. Like we're so specific about exactly what I'm like, let's put this in the song.
Guess you were right to hide the way you feel. We'd keep pretending like it wasn't real. Said you need space, and now I finally understand why you refuse to take my hand.
So I love writing like concept driven.
Did you write it with Gina?
No, actually. I went to New York for a week, which is so funny because I have been writing songs like months on end with Gina. And then like the one song I released as my first like single that I wrote is like not with her. She was like, bro, we have written so many and you're releasing this one. But it was just because it blew up on TikTok.
Well,
and
yeah,
so I was
it
like,
popped off.
uh-oh.
I was looking at it.
Yeah.
Well, and my first thought when the song came out was like, it's like Back to Friends. We wrote "Kiss My Best Friend." I'm like, oh man, the 2 Friends songs. We didn't make the cut.
No, I actually have so many songs that are like, it's about the same person actually, which is funny.
Well, and it's funny you said like, you don't write when it just happened, but you did come in and it just happened. You're like, this just happened.
It just
and the
literally
chorus is like,
happened,
I just
a
kissed.
week
Like,
before.
I'm like, yeah, all right.
No, I'm so specific. I'm like, can we like write about like what just happened? This is so bad if this guy ever listens to this podcast. Hopefully he doesn't. But
we were just gonna DM it to him. Like it's all. No.
Yeah, just send it to him. I came back to Canada. One of my friends was like, "Are you sure like you want to like get with this guy? Like, is that really a good idea? Like, you need to be focused on your career." And I was like, boys like are the whole reason I have a career right now. Like I was like, I need to be in relationships and get hurt to like have concepts to write about. And my friends were like, that's messed up. I'm like, but it's kind of funding my life right now. So if you know any men that are trying to break my heart, send them my way because I need it.
Sleeping Lion essentially started as a result of both of our breakups at the time,
Yeah.
and like my folks divorce. And And then subsequently, every song I've liked has coincided with a breakup. But I'm in a happy relationship, and what was terrifying for the first couple of months was like I wasn't necessarily writing anything in that happy
I know.
space, because like it's about trying to find the thing that fucks with you, and if nothing's
Right.
fucking with you, then you have nothing to write on. But lately, like I've been able to actually write from a happy place, but they're not necessarily happy songs, because I've been really obsessed over this idea, and I've said it on the podcast before, but obsessed with this idea of earned lyrics, like songs that like I'm a little bit older, like I'm 25, which is not old but it's not young, and it's like I want to write lyrics that I couldn't write when I was 21 or 20, whatever. I want to write lyrics that like reflect how I feel looking at buying a house and starting a life and all of this shit, like
I
wanting
can't
to
wait
start a
till I'm
family
like
and all that
30,
stuff,
and I can like look back at songs I wrote when I was like 17 and then like know who I wrote them about and be like, I remember that. Like if I'm like 35 and I'm like married with kids and I'm like, I remember when I was tripping over that dude and I wrote all these like depressing ass songs over them. Like, but no, I feel like when I was happy, like last year, at the beginning of the year, when I was happy, I was writing like all these like happy songs, and I just hate them all. I'm like, ew, like that's disgusting. Like I just want to be in this sad, heartbroken mode forever, because I feel like I'm just writing the best songs I've ever written in my entire life.
Well, it's good to like have the time capsule. Like I think
Yeah.
that like having those songs, you'd be like, yeah, fuck, you were really fucked up about that, weren't you?
No, like actually. But almost like Clint, have you guys heard Clinton Kane's new song, like I Guess I'm in Love?
I was actually just about to bring that up, of just like Clinton Kane, who has all these like sad songs, like Guess I'm in Love is like the perfect like
Yeah.
like
But it's
sappy
almost
love
like
song that feels super sad still.
It
just
feels sad. That's why I
sounds
love
super
it.
sad, but it's
Yeah.
actually a really sweet song.
Oh, every time we
It's
talk,
like
you bring up
super
Clinton
cute.
Kane.
Oh my God, I love him.
Literally,
I
like
can't.
last time we wrote, you were just like chicken tendies.
Yeah, exactly.
No, literally ask anyone I write with. I walk in the session, I'm like, oh my God, this is the song we're referencing today. Clinton Kane.
Clinton Kane
I love
song.
Clinton Kane. Like, I literally just bought his merch. Like, it popped up on my Instagram, and it was like 1 hour ago on Instagram. I instantly went and like
Oh
bought
my
it. Like,
God.
and then I found out he's on tour, and I'm not even like in the country that he's on tour in at the time, and I'm like actually busy, and I'm so mad. No, my whole life evolves literally around him and his music. I swear.
I'm sure you
But
could
he-
DM him. Like I'm sure that you
I
could-
have. We literally have DM'd. He actually reposted a video of me singing I Guess I'm in Love
Oh yeah, that
off
was
my
a great
TikTok,
cover.
and they commented on it. I was like, oh my God. But I'm like trying not to fangirl because I'm like, be professional, Lauren. Like, you can't act like this. But like,
we
he's
saw
one of
him
the
at
few
Hotel
people.
Cafe. We saw him like play
Did we play that
Yeah,
show?
you
or
guys
did-
said
or we-
that.
Or did were we
I think
just there? I think we were just there.
Yeah.
I remember we
Yeah,
saw him
no,
at Hotel
he-
Cafe, and it was
really
it was
good.
definitely one of those performances where you're just like, oh, this person's like a star.
Yeah,
like it's like this
he's gonna-
person's
he's
like
gonna do fine.
this person's gonna do just fine. But I remember speaking. The other reason I was going to bring up Clinton Kane on the podcast was that was when we very very first worked together. One of those, it was Crazy for You. One of those songs.
Oh yeah.
I think I had this experience as a producer of going in with a kind of preconceived notion of what you might want as an artist and totally overproducing the heck out of a song, and then getting feedback that was like, no, I really just, and I forget who it was. It might have been David or someone else who was just
Probably
like, no,
David.
fans of Lauren would just listen to her voice a cappella. And that was the thing that really cracked it open for me. And especially when you brought up Clinton
Yeah.
Kane and I listened to Clinton Kane and listened to those productions, it really like snapped my brain into this mode
Yeah.
of, there's this whole side of music and this whole genre of music right now that is completely vocal driven. And
Yeah.
it's like maybe a guitar underneath it and
Yeah.
like little tasteful things that like bring it out. And I've struggled with that kind of production for a long time. And I feel like this year is the year that I've finally started to like figure some of that stuff out. And I think you're one of the people that I've worked with, and like Aaron Kirby is one of the people that we've worked with who've really
I
like
love
keyed me
Aaron.
into
Which-
that kind of music.
The connecting thread there is like I'm just so grateful that like our collective lawyer has like done such a good job of connecting everybody, because
Yeah,
like
no, literally.
'cause, yeah, like you don't oftentimes like lawyers are usually involved in like label deals and like that kind of side of stuff, but very rarely do you see like a lawyer kind of connecting collaboration the way
Yeah.
David does.
Mhm.
And he's got
Yeah.
such good taste, like you and
Yeah.
Aubrey and Aaron, like everybody's been so good who we've worked with,
Yeah.
like via
I love
David.
literally all of Aaron's songs. I'm like, because I was on American Idol with Erin.
Right.
So I met her then. I had no idea. I was not working with David at the time. I didn't know she was. And then then I found out that she works with David through like me being like, David, did you hear that song that like Sleeping Lion did with Erin? And then he's like, oh, like, you know, I work with Erin
Like
too.
he set it up.
And I was like, what? And I was like, that makes so much sense. David's actually be getting low-key a little bit like frustrated with me because we'll get like a song back and it has like the slightest production on it, like barely anything. And I'm like, I just like it with my voice and the guitar. Like, I don't even know if I want to put anything on it. And then everyone's like, Lauren, like, you need something behind it. Like, you can't just release songs with like your voice and a piano. And I'm like, it just sounds better this way.
Yeah,
Like,
cellos.
just a little.
Cellos.
That's Guess I'm in Love.
Cellos.
The cello in Guess I'm in Love makes that record. Like it starts with this beautiful piano, but then the cello comes in the
I'm,
second
like,
verse,
obsessed.
and it's insane.
That's the type of happy shit I want to write. I'm not happy. I mean, I'm like overall I'm happy, obviously, but
She's
like
I'm not
definitely,
happy.
I'm like I have depression. No, but definitely in like a good writing headspace for writing sad songs, not happy songs. But I'm like the song itself sounds sad, so I'm like, oh, I want to listen to it because it sounds sad. But then like the lyrics are happy. Like he's still just sticking to what he does, but the lyrics are not sad anymore.
But
honestly,
one of my favorite like mini genres of songs that I've written in various kind of iterations is happy with an asterisk. Like it's I Guess I'm in Love.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a song I'm working on called Dumb Stupid Idiot Fucking Love. That's a similar kind of
Is that
like,
for
yeah, it's a fuckboy song. It's reluctantly being in love, begrudgingly being in love. Like, okay, I guess I'm in love is like one of my favorite emotions to write about. I'm obsessed with that.
No. Like Clinton teases them on his, I don't know if you follow him on TikTok, but like he
We did
teases
after
everything.
you said how funny he is on TikTok.
Yeah, he's so funny. Like it just brings me so much joy to like watch him do that. But no, he teases all his songs on TikTok. Like that song was teased like 7 months ago or something. And like I remember literally going back to the TikTok like almost every single day, listening to it, just being like, oh, I can't wait for it to come out. And then like finally, after like obviously it's not his decision. I think like he signed to a label and all that kind of stuff. So he can't just like drop it when it blows up. But it had blown up collectively like 10 times.
Yeah.
And gotten like 4 million views each on each one. And he still hadn't released it. And then eventually he released it. And now I'm like just at so much peace with my life. But I have another Clinton song in my collection.
Pausing the podcast to shout out our sponsor, New Wave.
No, I've been drinking coffee my entire life.
You know, as a Roman, same.
As a New Yorker, absolutely.
It's our birthright.
It's our birthright. We came out of the womb drinking coffee.
Fully caffeinated.
And the thing is that we're not getting any younger.
That's true.
And we're not getting any less anxious.
Oh, man, that's true too.
I'll say I have loved coffee my whole life, but lately it hasn't really been agreeing with me.
How so?
Unfortunately, when I drink coffee now, I just start feeling very agitated, very anxious. I've been looking around for alternatives that don't make my heart just beat out of my chest while I'm in the middle of working. And that's how we stumbled upon New Wave. New Wave's Flow State Coffee is an organic ground coffee meant to lower anxiety, improve brain function, and support creativity. With L-theanine and raw cacao, Flow State Coffee is meant to feel like a cup of hot chocolate or tea while giving the energy of coffee.
And now, through Talking Lion, you can try a couple cups of your own.
If you go to their website, newwave.co, that's N-O-O wave.co, you can use the code BrewingLion for 10% off your first order. We hope you get a creative boost and find your flow state.
Now, back to the show.
Fact, friends, you were talking about like how the song came to be. And that song did really, really well on TikTok. Like and now is doing well on Spotify and the whole 9 yards. You were saying though that you wrote it in New York. Like, what was that process like? And what was there like a lyric? I know the first lyric like kind of broke it, but was there any other lyric in there that you really loved from the song?
Well, I went to New York for like a week, and I had never written. What's funny actually is my friend who like I wrote it about knew like this producer. And he like got me in contact with this producer. So I flew out there and I literally had never worked with this producer, stayed at his house. Last minute, I didn't stay in a hotel, stayed at his house. And he invited all these these two other writers, Jordan and Tim, specifically were there for the first day. And I brought one of my friends, Natalie. I literally never worked with any of them. And later came to find out that like all of them were actually like, except Jordan, I don't think they were like, oh, I don't know, like if our style is going to match with hers. Like stuff we write with her friend is so different. Like she's very like more Olivia Rodrigo-y. Like what are we going to do? Like I don't know if like our tracks are going to line it. Because they're very like, one of my other friends that works with them, they give them a track and then you just write to the track. Whereas I'm like, let's just start from scratch every single time. I might already have a melody in my head and I need you to put chords behind it. Like literally just start from scratch. And I went in and like, it was a little awkward because they're friends with the person I wrote the song about. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm just going to point out the obvious. I write all my songs about so-and-so. I know you guys know him, but I have a concept about him.
That's what you sign up for.
That's an occupational hazard.
Yeah, but like, it's like they're genuinely, it's just funny because like he's written songs somewhat about me and like they know who I am for that reason. And then I show up and I'm like, okay, cool, we're going to write ours about him now. Like, but I explained the whole story to them being like, this is kind of where I'm at in my head. And then Jordan was like, I was like, I don't know, I want to write something about how like, I wish I could go back to how it was. He was like, let's just write a song called Back to Friends. Then like instantly, like we knew exactly what we wanted to say in the verses, exactly what we wanted to say in the pre. I mean, it was the first time I had met them. And so like, obviously there was a lot of just like talking and like getting to know each other like in the middle of the song. So it definitely took us like 4 hours to write. But literally it just got started by me like venting about the situation. And then all the boys in the room being like, okay, let's just write a song called How You Want to Go Back to Being Friends. I was like, that is so genius. Oh my goodness. Like, that's so smart. Let's do that.
And clearly relatable, like the TikTok to the TikTok.
Which I actually thought when I like posted it, because that video, we had someone in the room and my producer was just like, hey, like, let's just show him the song. And I literally did not know I was being filmed at first. And I just started acting like that. Cause I was just so stoked about the song and so happy, like just really like serotonin every time the song was played. And then he started videotaping me. Then I kind of realized he was videotaping and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to post it on TikTok, like, and see how it does. And then it literally just blew up, which was just like absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and people love the studio videos. Like Emmeline had the studio video and
yeah. Well, that's one of the things you say you love about Clinton Kane is that he just like bumps his own stuff so much that he's like he gets so earnestly excited about his own music, and I think that's one of the genres of things that people really connect with on TikTok. And it's nice to hear that was a completely genuine thing from you, that it was just you. Yeah,
so
really
many people have said that.
Your own thing. I think people can kind of sniff out the bullshit a little bit on TikTok, and the stuff that tends to like do really well is the stuff where people are actually genuinely enjoying what they're making. And I think a lot of people try to recreate that and be like, I'm bumping my stuff.
And that's the thing is like we want to do more of that, but also we've been working on this record for 2 years. Like it's not new to us. Like we would have to like feign excitement.
I don't want to. It's like I don't want to pretend like because I know that's like kind of a strategy, right? On TikTok, we use like, oh, just wrote this, even if you've been sitting on it and you've got a whole release plan for it.
6 months down the line, you're like, just wrote this.
I'm excited for this record to come out, but I've been excited for this record to come out for 2 years. So you're not gonna get me like getting super stoked, but maybe we could try. We could when we both have gotten a proper night's sleep and had enough coffee and a good breakfast.
I find I have to like
these songs.
Like that one was super genuine. I was super excited about it. But if it's a song I've been sitting on, I mean, I'm genuinely just like a hype person in general. Like I just get hyped about everything. And I'm always in a good mood. But like sometimes I forget I'm like 17 and I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is my life. That's so weird. Like, and if I just put myself in like, wow, like I travel the world and like I do music, then I like start to romanticize my own life. And then I'll play the song and then I'll envision myself in front of like 20,000 people. And then I start making the TikTok and then it looks like I'm just like so pumped because I'm just like romanticizing my own life. But no, with Back to Friends, I literally thought it wasn't going to be relatable because the guy I wrote it about like didn't date, was just in like a weird, what are we, like just complicated situation for so long. And from my point of view, the song's like, we didn't end up together and I wish I saw the signs. And like, I regret saying anything and I wish we could go back to how it was before. And I was like, there's no way like anyone else went through like the exact thing I went through.
No,
and then all the people were commenting, everyone, like millions of people were like, oh my God, I relate to this song, but I didn't even date the guy. And then I'm like, guys, I didn't even date the guy I wrote the song about. Like, this is literally what I wrote it about. Like, yeah, it makes it more relatable. And I didn't even like clue into that. And I really thought that people were just going to think it was like a breakup song, but people genuinely are relating to it for the exact reason I wrote it. And it like almost made me not sad about my situation anymore, because I was like, so many people are going through the exact same thing. Like, I'm not alone.
Well, I think that's a big reason why I started writing, and a big reason why, and a thing I say to like new writers too, is that a lot of people are writing songs because they want to do this with their life, and a lot of people are writing songs, because they want money or to, and it's I'm not gonna gatekeep the for the right reasons of why somebody should get into songwriting, because I think there's a million reasons you should, and it's whatever keeps you going. But whenever anybody wants to quit, or whenever anybody is feeling discouraged, I say, like, you could write about your experience and connect with somebody who didn't know they needed to know they weren't alone in it. And I think that that's such an important thing. Like, I'm writing really, really specific songs, both in our project and in my own project. And I always think it's really, really specific. And then somebody has had a similar experience or had similar fears, and it connects, like, and I think that that's where the earned part comes in, is that everybody at a certain point experiences everything.
Yeah.
In their own way. Like, you could write about breaking your arm.
Yeah.
Breaking your shoulder. And I have not necessarily been in that place, but I could definitely feel what you felt.
Yeah.
What it's dredged up, because at the end of the day, you got 5 emotions. Everybody's got the same 5 emotions, or like you got your serotonin, you got your dopamine, you got your whatever, like the experiences could be different, but how you feel about them and what it dredges up for you. Loss is universal, and fear is universal, and happiness is universal, and it's all universal stuff, even if the specifics aren't.
And also just stylistically, I usually rather always hear a lyric that's a little too specific than a lyric that's a little too general.
I'm so tired of general lyricism.
Same. No, literally, that's the most special thing about songwriting, and what I love the most is that I think I'm being so specific. Everyone in the room's like, damn, like, this person's gonna hear this and know it's about them and be like, she really like dug deep and like came for him. And then like other people listen to it and they're like, I relate to this one so much. And I'm like, that makes me feel so much better about myself. I love when fans or like your followers get to see your breakdown of what you actually wrote the lyrics about. When I tell people what my songs are about and I give them a whole rundown, like, oh, this guy hurt me, this is what he did, then they re-listen to the song and they're like, holy shit, like, this just hits me even harder. So like, I love hearing what artists actually wrote their songs about, because like, it just hits so much harder when you find out and you're like, wow, like, this lyric really is specific about what they said they're writing about.
Well, that's what's so scary about like releasing a song to the public too, is that when you're showing your friends, like, your friends know all the details. So if you're writing specifically, or like you're writing cryptically, they're like, well, I know what that means. Or what that means. And you send it to somebody else and they're like, what? what?
No,
that made no sense, Like, I'll tell a story, it's like, oh, we're catching up, and I'll tell a story of like what's happened in, this relationship and that, and then I'll show them the song and they're like, yeah, you just told me that.
Yeah,
like, that's what you just told me.
That's funny.
But you're Canadian.
Fortunately. Just kidding. I'm a proud Canadian, but everyone that knows me knows I want to live in Los Angeles. So
yeah, we'd love to have you in LA. What is your favorite thing about Canada, though? Other than the free healthcare?
Honestly, everybody raves about our healthcare, and like, I always tell my American friends this. Like, I love universal healthcare. Like, I'm for it. Okay, cool. But like, when we go to the ER, or like we have like something medical, like if I need an X-ray or an MRI, like, it will take me 7 months to get my MRI.
Ooh.
Because it's universal, and there's like, it's backed up because everyone is allowed to get X-rays and everyone is allowed to get MRIs. Whereas like, when my American friends need an MRI, they get their MRI in like a week.
Sometimes.
For a pretty penny.
Yeah. I think the only solution is that we upload all of our consciousness into a server.
No more
And-
getting
and-
sick. No more that's
Yeah.
how I've been feeling this week. It's like no more human bodies.
No more human bodies. We
Like-
just get patches every. We
Yeah.
literally get like bug fixes, updates
Yeah.
every week.
Like, how dumb is it that I could fall off a scooter and now I can't play guitar anymore? Like,
Or you could die.
or I could just
It's
die.
actually
anytime.
really
died.
scary.
Yeah.
I think about this all the time. I'm like, anytime I see someone that like can't walk or like has like a broken leg or something, I'm like, I go to the gym every day and like I'm active and like I hike and do all this stuff. And I'm like, one wrong thing and I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. And like, I'm not able to walk again.
Yeah.
Like that
But
is
you're
terrifying.
one good head bonk from lights out altogether.
My brain has been in
Literally.
the full Final Destination mode ever since the accident because I'm like every time I went up the stairs back in Rome, I was like, all it takes is one little bit of my shoe catching on the stairs, and I tumble and I hit the shoulder again, and the metal plate and the little screws that are now in my shoulder poke through the other side of the bone, and I have to get another operation. And I'm like, that cannot. It's like, you know how like a pilot. Like there has to be a 0% chance of the plane crashing. Like you have to like do everything in your power for there to be a 0% chance of that plane crashing. Like I am now in the mode where it's like there has to be a 0% chance that I hurt myself again.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of planes, there is also. I think about like Donnie Darko all the time of just like a plane engine just like landing in our house, and I think to myself like that's statistically improbable, but also
Could happen.
there is that thing where one in a million things happen every day because over a million things are happening every day. So statistically improbable. Somebody somewhere thought they were immune.
That's what I'm saying. And like we live near some like whack tectonic plates.
Mm-hmm.
And like at any moment, like I don't know if you guys know where I live, but like I'm literally like just above y'all, and like I'm on the same plate.
Yeah,
like
you got
if
the
you
big
guys
one.
go
the big
down,
one's coming. Yeah.
yeah, you guys go down, I'm going down.
Well, you're an
with you.
island
Like,
too, right? Like you'll have the wall of water all around you.
Yes, awful.
Yeah.
Like we would die. Okay, but I guess my favorite thing about Canada, I live in British Columbia, which is like, in my opinion, like the best province in Canada. Like any movie you see of like forests and all that, like it's always filmed in BC. Like there's just really good like mountains, like there's just everything. So I guess like Vancouver Island, where I live specifically, is like just really good for like hiking and like fresh air. Like when I went, honestly, my favorite thing about BC is the water. Like I was drinking the water in LA for 3 months and I wanted to puke
Yeah, you
every
don't
time
wanna
I
do
drank
that.
the water. It's like chlorine.
It is.
And then when I came back, the first thing I wanted was a glass of water.
As I feel about
because the
when I
water
visit New
tastes
York, 'cause
great.
I grew up with some of the best tap water in like the country.
Yeah,
In New York,
literally.
and bagels, and then it turns out that's not a universal thing.
No, it's not. Like I'm not a fan of food in LA at all.
Ooh, wait, that's a spicy take. I thought it was just the water, but you're talking food all.
Honestly, I don't know. Like I loved the food in New York. Like
Did the tacos not win you over?
no.
Oh man,
I don't there was nothing I ate in LA that was like, except I did go to Boa Steakhouse and had a bite of my friend's steak. And I was like, okay, that was really good. But like, I don't know. Like, yeah, like I'll eat it, obviously, but
Yeah.
like there's nothing special about it.
I think it's hard to generalize with a city as big as LA.
Yeah.
Like I've experienced maybe 1% of it, so it's like, you know. But yeah, I think I would say that's generally true. Like I haven't had a ton of great food here.
maybe I have a Stockholm syndrome about it though. Like maybe I'm just like I live here and I fucking love it. Don't talk shit. Like
Yeah,
True. Also, this is like, we're so mean. Like, this is such a first world problem. We're like, the food in this city.
yeah. I'm
Right,
like
It's
yeah,
not
exactly.
the greatest.
I'm like, what do you like about Canada? And you're like, well, the world is about to end and the tap water is decent.
No, literally.
I thought
What I don't like-
I thought this was gonna be like a softball question. Like I thought I was gonna be like, what's your favorite thing about Canada? Tim Hortons. Cool. Moving on.
right.
No, Tim Hortons used to be amazing. Tim Hortons was like, I ate that every single day. Like, it was amazing. And then I got bought out by Burger King. And like,
Oh.
all the food is different. Like, they tried to sell chicken strips and they're like actual sponge. Like, everyone I know that like was a Tim Hortons stan, like, you no longer fool with Tim Hortons.
Wait, that's a bit heartbreaking.
That is actually really heartbreaking.
It was a lot.
Reminds me of when Tedeschi's in Boston got bought by 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven.
We used to trust We used to trust the fridge sandwiches.
We really did.
And then when the facade was broken, that it wasn't it wasn't a Boston chain, but a
Global.
Like, did you just go in and it was
chain.
different one day?
It was literally
Pretty
the
much.
same store.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was basically the same store, but like it felt like for some reason, like when it was Tedeschi's, it had a bodega vibe about it.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm gonna have the fridge sandwich, and I trust it. And then it became 7-Eleven, and we were like,
No way am I eating
no
a
way am
fridge
I having a
sandwich
fridge sandwich.
from
But it's the
7-Eleven.
same fridge and it's the same sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay, because Tim Hortons had a grilled cheese sandwich. You could get bacon in it, but it was white bread and it was just like a panini. It was like, that's what everyone got there. And then like 2 years go by. I haven't had one in a couple months. I go to get one and it's like on this artesian bread with like nuts in it. And when I was a kid, I was like really against whole wheat multigrain. I was like, that's disgusting. And I get it. And it's like whole wheat. There's all these different types of cheeses in it. And then there's cheese on top of it and tomatoes in it. And like there was no sign that said like the grilled cheese is changing, like nothing. Me and my
grilled
friends
cheese
just
is
got it and we were
changing.
like, we need to go through and get something else because we're not eating this. Like it's not what my childhood
That's really
had.
the most heartbreaking thing when your dependable chain betrays you.
There was a coffee shop in Boston that we absolutely fucking loved. Like it was literally like, it was founded by this Ethiopian guy who came to America and then wanted to like see the whole country. So he like biked across the country, which like bucket list item. I want to bike across the country. And then he like started this cafe in Boston where you could write on the walls and paint on the walls. Like anybody could do anything on the walls. And it was this gorgeous like collage of like Boston culture. And it was just like such a great place to like do work. And sometimes they would do poetry readings. And I loved it. The coffee was amazing. He would try out different drink combos with us. And it was such a great place. And then I went to visit last time we were in Boston. It was just like bought out by like two white girls. It just felt wrong. It just felt like, I was like, where is Cassim? Like, is everything good?
Yeah.
Like,
So many places I used to go to like ran out of business. And then I'm like, how are you running out of business? I'm here every day. And I see people in here like buying food. Like, how are you? And they're like, everyone's like, oh, that company went bankrupt. I'm like, I literally went there every day. I don't know how they went bankrupt. Like, me and my friends spent so much money there every year.
I'm
How
like,
are they bankrupt?
I'm like, they should have just like I would have led the GoFundMe charge to keep.
I
you around.
literally,
Right.
people don't realize. Like, I'm like, I would have started a GoFundMe for your restaurant. Like, maybe just cut the hours back or something. Like, I'm like, you had to get rid of the entire thing. Now I can't have my favorite food from my favorite place or my favorite drink. Such a disappointment.
Yeah, we lost Trencher in Echo Park, and that was like one of my favorite sandwich spots. I was just like,
Damn.
fuck, this panini is ruining all of our paninis.
It's true.
Pausing the podcast to remind you that we have a Patreon that you can subscribe to if you want to support the show.
If you're enjoying this episode, but you're thinking that you've got a burning question for an artist, or you just want to talk with us, or maybe you just want to mug with our faces, our Patreon's the way to go.
So go to patreon.com/talkinglion to subscribe.
Now back to the show.
Okay, we keep talking about food, and I'm like kind of on a diet.
Oh, sorry. You know.
And I'm like getting tempted to go to Subway now, and I'm like, no, eat your chicken and rice.
All right, move away from food to America's nourishment, American Idol, which you were on. It's a TV show where people sing. We've actually had like a disproportionate number of American Idol folks on the podcast.
We've
Like
had a couple.
We've had Zealand.
More than half of the people I meet in the music industry are like, yeah, I auditioned for American Idol.
Well, we had like Zealand made it really far. We had David Archuleta on the podcast.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, just a bunch of Idol folks, but of different like generations.
Yeah,
of
different
it.
eras of it.
Like, because David Archuleta and like Zealand, Angie Miller were like years apart.
and now
and
there's
then-
the whole new show,
Now
like the
it's- yeah.
reboot.
How old were you when you were on the show?
I was 16, and I turned 18 in like a week and 2 days.
What? Happy birthday!
Happy birthday.
Woo! I know. I'm super excited. Last time I was in the United States, I needed a COVID test to come home to Canada. And you can't get a COVID test under 18 without your legal parent or guardian. And neither one of my parents came with me. And I got like 4 different COVID tests at different places. They wouldn't give me my result
Oh my
because I didn't
God.
have my guardian there. It was a whole thing. And then we literally went to the hospital and like pretended someone was my mom.
Oh my God.
And it was like a whole thing. And I finally got my COVID test and came back. So now when I come to the States, I can get my COVID test legally and I can date any boy I want because I'm the age of consent.
But also be careful.
Be careful. I have my age limit. Like it's like 22, 23, but like still, like there's like 20-year-olds that like I wanted to be with and they wanted to be with me, but they were like, look, like, you know, like I have a late birthday too. Like this is like recent, like in April. Like I am a mature enough age to like be in a relationship. Like I live on my own. Like I travel. Like I'm like basically an adult, like becoming a young adult. And I can't be with someone that's 2 years older than me because I'm not the legal age of consent. I'm like, that is some garbage.
I love we just became dads on the podcast. Like immediately, Noah and I both.
I don't know
Noah and
about
I,
that.
both of our
Be
postures,
careful.
both of our postures literally just changed, and we immediately like just be home before curfew.
Yes.
Like, don't you know?
So everyone that works with me or is like on my team, like every like week, I'm like, okay, like there's this new guy, and everyone's like, Lauren, like, you know, like just be careful. Like, and I'm like, I'm being careful. Like, it's fine. I'm
It's not that
trying
we
to
don't
get
trust
song
you, it's just
concepts.
we want what's best for you.
Yeah.
Just make good choices.
Just make good choices.
That's funny.
I'm surprised that the state of California hasn't recognized Gina as a legal guardian for you.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, bruh, she's old, she's getting up there. Like, I'm like, she's old enough to be doing that, to be my legal guardian. I'm like, what the hell?
She adopts you. She adopts you, like
She
literally, like legally adopts you.
No.
But yeah, I want to. I'm happy that you're entering the world of adulthood. But I want to shift back to Idol real
Yeah.
quick. What was that experience like? Why did you do it? And what was like a highlight? What was something that was challenging that people wouldn't necessarily know about? You know, what was your takeaway by and large?
Yeah, that was a lot of questions in one.
Oh yeah, I was just
from the beginning.
shooting them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, shooting them off. Why did you do it? Yeah.
Yeah, I auditioned for the show. I had a different manager at the time, and it was his idea. I honestly didn't really want to audition for the show, but like my manager kind of convinced me into it. It was very last minute. They called and they were like, hey, you're going to go to Oregon in like 2 weeks for the judges. Like I didn't have to do any prior auditions. It was just very like, okay, you're audition for the judges. And I was like, okay, had to pick my song, get it ready. And I honestly didn't really feel like I wanted to be on the show, but I didn't feel like I wanted to be on the show for myself until I went to Hawaii for top 40. And then I was like, okay, like I'm here because I want to be here and I'm having fun on the show. Whereas like all the rounds leading up to that, I just kind of felt like I was there because like my team kind of wanted me to audition and thought it was a good idea. And I just like did it. But my favorite part of the show, honestly, is just meeting people. Like there's so many people I'm literally best friends with because of the show, like Gina being one of them. Like
Right.
so many people that I work with almost every day that I met on Idol too. Like I wouldn't know everyone that I knew, and I totally wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if I didn't go on the show just to meet those people. And like you just have so much fun all the time. Like I just didn't stop laughing. I lost my voice all the time because I was constantly laughing and like yelling and just having a good time. Like the show is just so much fun. And so like probably just meeting people was my favorite part. Obviously performing was fun, but definitely meeting people was the most fun part of the show. As for like separating myself from like Idol and like not Idol, I honestly didn't really find a huge problem with it. I found like the second I was done off the show, I had like a little bit of a push for like 2 months, and it's kind of like, oh, like the Idol push. And then like immediately after that, during COVID, I like really just started to like buckle down on TikTok and was like, okay, I'm going to post on TikTok every single day. And then like all of my comments on my social media are just flooded with like, you should go on American Idol one day. Or like, you should audition for a talent show. Like, you'd be great. Like, people have no idea that I was on American
That's
Idol
so
that
funny.
newly follow me.
How far did you get on Idol?
I got to top 20.
Oh shit. Yeah.
And then like we went home, got sent home. And then like the whole show just kind of went like a little bit sideways and things were kind of changed around. Yeah, and we like did it from home. But like, yeah, I honestly haven't really found a big problem with it at all, honestly. Like, obviously, like, I'm not trying to like be like, oh, I was never on Idol. Like, I'm so thankful to Idol and like the opportunities I have. But at the same time, I want to be my own artist. And I don't want people to know me as like, oh, she's only known because she went on American Idol type thing. But I honestly just started blowing up on TikTok and people have absolutely no clue that I was ever even on a talent show. And I'm just known as like the TikTok girl, like not the girl that was on American Idol.
I think you're probably finding, like, and this is anecdotal evidence, so I don't know the actual like, intricacies of this, but just even hearing stories from David Archuleta to Zealand and then to you, like, I think that there has been more of an agency and more of a push to like have not necessarily this like hyper idol brand around folks like it used to be. Like it used
I think
to
the
be
business model's changed a little bit.
Just because of how much has come out, I think of like shows like Songland that are a lot more sort of free and open, like we support you and this is like a place where we can sort of collaborate and grow together. But also, you hear things come out about like The Voice or about, Idol or America's Got Talent and like what those contracts look like. And I think that, again, anecdotally, it sounds like things are a lot more sort of open to that now than they maybe would have been like a decade ago,
Yeah. I also got cut off the show right before like the whole contracts thing. Like I didn't make the cut of the contracts thing. So the second I was done on the show, I was free to do whatever I wanted. So I just started posting and doing whatever I wanted and writing songs and doing whatever. And I think it just kind of like took me in a completely different path than like being stuck with this like American Idol girl kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, I was going to say, I also think audiences have less of a stomach for like industry plants as well. Finding out that like, oh, this is like a label funded or a corporate funded project, people are seeking out more kind of authentic grassroots stuff, especially on TikTok. So I think it's less of a viable business model to kind of create this manufactured pop star through a system like American Idol. And I think that what you're doing is a lot more in line with the path for artists nowadays, where you just like yeah, you might participate in something like Idol as a fun like networking experience essentially, but that's not where you're building your platform.
Well, and for what it's worth, like I think culturally we wanted it a lot more like back in the mid 2000s, early 2010s. Like, I went to the America's Got Talent tour. Like, I know people who went to the American Idol tours.
Right.
You had like the Disney Channel original artists who would go on the tours, and now you have Olivia Rodrigo's,
right?
Who the whole thing about her, and you've got, Selena Gomez and people who their whole thing is the way that they have managed to transcend, or fucking Ariana Grande.
Right.
Like their whole career is based around transcending the kind of industry.
The industry kind of platform. Yeah.
Platform type thing. So I think people are realizing that there's like an upper limit to what you can do with an American Idol tour, if you will, or whatever. Not that I think they still happen.
Yeah.
But just like the hyper branding that used to be around.
Yeah.
Network based stuff all across the board.
Yeah. A lot of people go on the show though too with like no experience in the music industry, and they're like, oh, I'm just going to American Idol like to hopefully like have a big break. Whereas like I literally went on the show like so strategically and was like, okay, like I'm going to dress in like jeans and a t-shirt at my audition to like make it seem like I'm just like this girl that's singing, and then like throughout Hollywood Week kind of do the same thing, and then like boom, if I make top 40, I'm going to come out in like heels and a ponytail and act like I own that shit and like actually be like, hey, I'm a performer. And then like everyone who watched the show, like the judges included, were like, oh my God, like look how much American Idol has changed her and like she's grown as an artist. Whereas like I was that bad bitch from the beginning. I just fooled y'all and made you think that I wasn't. So you would think that I grew on the show for like advertising purposes. Like I went on the show to grow my audience and to grow my network as like literally as a smart business way to do it.
That's the best way to do reality TV.
Yeah. And like, that's the whole reason I did the TV show, not to just like hopefully win and like not know what I'm doing in my life. Like I literally would like release songs right before we had to sign the contract that says we couldn't release songs while we're on the show. So then hopefully, and then I would like, when my episode would air, I would post like, go stream all I want instead of posting like, go watch the American Idol episode. Like I would do like little things like that probably made the show so annoyed.
But it's amazing that like, you had the savviness.
Yeah.
Like at 16, 17. Like it is crazy that you because I think in a lot of ways it's because you grew up with this, these cultural things. Like, I think for us, like we watched American Idol without any sense of irony or like it was very much like it's like how people watch The Bachelor of like this is real, like this is 100% true, and this is and everybody's there for the same reasons and whatever.
Right.
And I think we just didn't know, when we were younger, but you have it going long enough. Like you're seeing in The Bachelor now, people who go on the show who grew up with the show and then can actually like play the game of it and like who know how to sort of like mess around with producers or get the best sort of storylines. And that's exactly what you did. Like you found a storyline. You found like the Lauren evolution and then you and then you capitalized on that. And that's awesome.
I also was like, I was kind of lucky. Like, I mean, I started working when I was like 11. Like I definitely like my parents got divorced. Like I didn't have a lot of money. Like I grew up very young. Like I wouldn't say I'm like I feel like when you talk, you're very like intelligently speaking and like you use big words. And I'm like, oh my God, you're so intelligent. Like I'm not like that, but I definitely think I'm very like business smart, like with social media. And when it comes to that, like anyone that's like friends with me is like, you're just a genius when it comes to that. Like, how did you do that? Like I just had this video on TikTok and I was like, do me a favor and like sit in the back and just like go on Snapchat. And my friend's like, what do you mean? I'm like, literally like my audience just loves it when people like act like they're not paying attention. Like, please just do it. And he was like, okay. And then next thing you know, it had 9 million views. And I was like, what did I say? Like, I just knew that was going to happen. But I also I was lucky. I had been kind of doing music, not like fully full time, but like for at least a year before I went on American Idol. And I had like released like kind of some music. I had almost 100,000 followers on Instagram going on to the show. So I had already kind of been introduced to the industry just a little bit. And like, I've never been one to be fooled by like, hey, here's like a $5 million record contract. Want to sign it? Like, I'm like, absolutely not. Like, generally things are in that contract that I don't want. I'd rather make
$20
if you got a
$5 million record contract, you're going to have to earn 10 times
the
that to pay it
stupidest
back.
amount of money to pay it back. Like,
exactly.
I just like I had read a lot of books on the industry and like watched a lot of videos about American Idol and like went into it being like, this is what my plan is. Like, don't get fooled by like, oh my goodness, I'm on TV. Whereas like so many people in their interviews are just like so amazed and like, this is my final shot at life. Like I'm on TV. Like this is so cool. And like, it was one of my first times being on TV, but I was still like, don't be fooled by this, you know?
I mean, like as a kid, Idol did feel like life or death. Like you see these people who are just like,
they make it seem like life or death. If I don't do
this, if I don't make it to Hollywood, then I'm quitting music forever.
Literally in the interviews, they'll be like, and so if you don't make it, like, I guess you're just gonna go home and bawl your eyes out. And in every interview, they hated me because I would be like, no. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't even, like, I might not even cry. Like, I'm like, and
you're not gonna give them the soundbite that they're looking for.
They're like, you're not gonna be like, this is your last chance. And I'm like, I'm still going to be in the music industry, whether I go far on your show or not, because I have a work ethic and I'm determined. I was like, but like.
And then they cut everything and they just be like, they were like, I'm determined to.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally. And I was like, I went on the show like not being like, this is life or death. You know what I mean? So when I got cut, I was obviously sad, but I wasn't like, my music career is over.
When you were cut at the best time too, because you wouldn't have to be like locked into like the But I think what's interesting, and you said it very nicely, I've always said to Noah, like, I think I have good instincts but bad taste. Like, I think that both my parents, my dad is a business coach and motivational speaker, and my mom is an improv theater teacher. So I just grew up talking with the big words and all that stuff. And I think I can express myself well. And I think that I know a lot of things. And instinctually,
sometimes you say words and I'm like, I would have never even thought to use that word, and then I like write it down and I'm like, I'm going to use this word in a sentence later to try to fit that in my vocabulary somewhere.
And that's the thing, is like instinctually, like I know it rubs me the wrong way.
Instinctually. Like, what the hell is that? I've never heard someone use that word ever.
I think that in my gut, like I know what I like about songs and what I don't like about songs and all that whatever. When it comes to like behind the scenes from a camera, I can tell you everything that's wrong and how to fix it. Like I'm so strong in that space. The moment you turn the camera, like I don't know what to do with my face or like my hands or like like I could talk for hours about like what works and what doesn't work on TikTok, and I can't do it. Like I just
yeah.
can't.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's like easier for me is like I grew up in like the time where social media became a thing.
Yeah.
Like when I was like 9 years old, like it was like Instagram like became like this thing, and everyone like my whole teenage years I've grown up with social media growing while like I've been on it. Whereas like a lot of people are like didn't really get on Instagram till like 5 years later. And they're like, it just wasn't really like a my generation thing. Whereas like everyone my age, like we're such geniuses and have such good instincts when it comes to social media. And like we've never even taken like a marketing class. And it's totally just because we grew up with social media.
Well, and we did too, but just a little bit later, and in a way where like the influencer culture didn't exist, and the ways where like the only sort of real thing that existed wasn't necessarily like social media as much as like a video goes viral on YouTube, but it's
it's like YouTube
Charlie,
and like maybe
it's
Facebook.
Charlie bit my finger or like Gangnam Style. Like it definitely was like a lot more on the zanier side than like things get viral because they're good
or they're
relatable or like whatever.
Or it's stupid.
I think that was the thing is like I think that our social media experience was dumb when we were first kind of growing up. And I think that I'm going to throw some fun words around. Like there was social media over here and there was art over here, and we've spent a majority of our adult lives trying to get them to coalesce. That's a fun little word. I like coalesce. But for you, it just, here's another one I like, just diffused into your art. So like there for you, the art you make and social media are inextricably linked.
Yeah.
They have always been tied together. Like making things on TikTok is what you do, as opposed to like we do something and then we put it up on TikTok.
Yeah, like that's my thing with a lot of people is like when people always ask me like, how do you like go viral on TikTok? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I'm like, there's so many creators that are like, oh, like I just create to create and then I put it online. I'm like, obviously making content can be fun, but I'm like, I schedule it in my day like it's a business. Like I'm like, I schedule time out of my day and I'm like, this is content, and I view my social media as like a business and a platform that I use to grow myself as a business. Like I don't view it as like, oh, I'm going to go have fun on social media and sing in my car. I'm like, no, I get millions of views when I sing in my car. I'm going to sing a song that has lyrics that are super relatable in it because that's what people are really into. And like, I like plan exactly what I'm going to sing, when I'm going to sing it. Should I write the words if like they're going to be relatable to like my 18 to 24 algorithm that I'm usually placed into? Like I literally strategically think of everything that I'm going to do on social media, and people don't do that. They just do it for fun and upload it and then wonder why they didn't go viral. And I'm like, you have to actually like really research and like be on TikTok and like know what's popular and like know what's working for other people and implement that into your own social media platform.
Well, and when we were writing Best Friends, you and Gina were pointing out the parts of the songs and the sections of the songs that you thought would do well on TikTok, and in no way did it get in the way of the meaning of the song or the meat of the song or like the heart of the song, but it was just where your brains were.
Yeah, it's just a filter.
Like, and it made the songs better because it came from the real place of this is the medium in which these songs are going to be first introduced to the world. Like you had first listening in mind, which I think is the most important listening to a song anybody could have is that first listening.
I will literally change lyrics in my songs based on, I think people will like it on TikTok better.
Yeah.
Like, and Gina is actually the only other person that I've ever met that has like the same brain as me. Like if I'm ever like, oh my God, let's record content. Like Gina's like, yes, let's record content.
And
like,
that's authentic to you, though.
Big on
like,
content.
And that is authentic to you. Like that is part of your process, you know, whereas I think for us, we're still trying to like learn how to have that instinct, but not have it be an other.
Yeah.
Like something that's outside of the process. Like for us, there's the writing, and then they're like, oh, well, will this work on TikTok? Whereas like, or work on whatever medium that we're putting it up on. And I think it's partially because when we started, we were writing things specifically that would work in the hype machine world and like the early Spotify algorithmic stuff, like back in 2017 or 2016. But I think having such like an innate understanding of a platform is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, like it's also just like a lot. Like I have to go on social media every day for like a minimum of 2 hours to like know if like the strategy I was using is dying out and if I need to find a new one. Like I have to be on TikTok for hours to know what songs are trending, to know what songs to sing. And then like, if I see like another creator do something and I'm like, if I see any viral video of any singer, I'm like, what exactly did they do in this video that like I can implement into my videos that made them go viral? Like you have to just be on social media all the time, which
that's
like
how you make your check.
sucks.
Like,
Nobody likes to be on social media.
That's your 9 to
But,
5.
like, yeah.
Like that's how you make your check. Like that's how ultimately you make your money. Like people can do the math of what 5 million streams as an independent artist will get you. Like it's worth a couple hours every day.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. 100%.
Every time I think that I'm spending too much time on Instagram, like just like mindlessly scrolling through Instagram, I remember that like Noah and I haven't had a lull in our work. Like we haven't not had people to work with or just steady work for 5 or 6, almost 7 years.
Yeah.
Like and it's primarily because I'm always keeping my eye open. Like I'm always scrolling through stories, and then there's somebody who posts something, and it's great. And you know, we just passed 80 episodes on the podcast because we just are keeping. You know, I go through and I find things that get me, you know, stoked, and I reach out. Like every time I think that I'm spending too much time on social media, I remember that like our rent is paid because of how much time we spend on social media.
Yeah.
You know?
So many people that are like the older generation, like come for me and they're like, oh, I was on that damn phone, or like, you're always doing this, you're always doing that. And I'm like, this literally funds my life. Like, I'm like, obviously I like to go on TikTok and it's fun to be on TikTok, but like, even when I'm not going on it for business purposes, subconsciously in the back of my brain, like every second video, I'm like saving to my favorites to go on it tomorrow to then implement the exact same thing that they did in their video into mine.
Lauren Spencer Smith, are you ready for the question round?
The question round. All right, first question, very important question. What is your phone background?
My lock screen is a quote.
What's the quote?
I think it's a quote about confidence.
Ooh.
Or no, it's a quote about courage and like having the courage to get up and go out every day or something. I only do that when I'm like down in the slumps. I'm like, I'm going to change it to a quote. So every time I open my phone, it's like motivational message. But my home screen is me and my best friend Vlad like hugging.
Aw.
Oh, that's cute.
That's super sweet.
Yeah, super cute.
Love that. Do you have a non-musical hobby?
I feel like my whole life is literally run by music. But growing up, I played like really competitive soccer. So like I love playing soccer.
Very cool.
Okay.
That's a good one.
But I literally say my other hobby is probably just going to the gym.
Nice.
Don't do it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good
I'm a
hobby
bit of
to
a gym
have.
rat.
Don't hit your head on anything.
I'm literally like, you can see, we're on FaceTime. You can see my gym socks. Like I'm literally about to go to the gym after this.
Nice.
Probably.
I didn't realize they were gym socks. They just kind of look like very sweaty socks.
Okay, yeah, like they're a little dirty because the floor is dirty, but like as I lifted them up, I was hoping you guys wouldn't say anything.
Sorry.
I'm definitely not a gym rat, but I do love occasionally just like doing a bunch of push-ups as like a anxiety relief.
Occasionally doing a bunch of push-ups.
Just occasionally doing a bunch, but you know, like honestly, it's just like it's like a thing I
I feel
do
like this
for
is
like,
a really convenient time for you to say that this is something you like to do. Because I'll be like, oh yeah, do a push-up now.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. It's like I'm by no means a gym rat, but the fact that I'm probably not going to be able to do a push-up for like maybe a year is making me really sad.
Yeah, no, I'm like pretty big gym rat. Like the pre-workout, I go to the gym almost every single day, lift weights, all that. I'm like known as a little
Like
gym
it's going to
rat.
be a while before the shoulder can take like weight.
We can put
That
a
makes
little
me
pulley
so
system.
sad for you.
Yeah.
Like where, you know, we put strap it to your back.
Yeah,
and then we
exactly.
just pull you
My
up.
legs are going to be ripped though.
You get into biking.
Yeah, I guess I can get
No,
into
that's
bike.
we don't need you to fall.
Yeah,
On
exactly.
anything else.
No.
I love biking. I bike. I try to bike every day.
I wish like as a kid, like I was just a really active kid. Like I grew up with older brothers, and I think that's totally why I'm like a little gym rat. But like we totally had bikes and all that, and I wish I still had all of that.
The weather's been like really gloomy in LA the last couple of days, which is so lovely. Like I
Oh,
love
don't
when
tell me that.
I just love it when there's like a little bit of like a breeze while you're biking, so you don't get like
Oh yeah,
sweaty.
I forgot you guys like live there, and it's like usually warm all the time.
Yeah, it's
Right.
gorgeous.
You're
all
like
the time.
you're like, wow, I love when the weather's not warm every once.
I love
in a
when there's
while.
weather.
It's nice to have weather.
It's literally like storming outside in Canada right now.
I mean, I miss rain. You know.
No. You miss it until you get it every day. And like you go to walk out to your car and you just did your hair and makeup and like you look great and then you're absolutely drenched in 5 seconds.
Listen, Lauren, I was like you once. You know, I grew up in New York and then we went to school in Boston where we had the worst winter fucking ever. And
Awful.
And I was like, I hate this. I can't wait to go somewhere where it's always sunny. And it happens to everybody. You hit year 3 here and you're like, I feel like I'm going crazy.
It was really warm the whole time I was in LA. And I came back like forgetting that it's like not warm like that here. And I like didn't even want to wear a bathing suit when it was like sunny out. And everyone else was like, oh, it's cooking today. And I was like, no, it's not. Like I'm used to like 100 degrees.
Is cooking like a BC term for it being warm out?
There's actually a lot of things I say. And then so many people are like, what the hell is that? Like there's so many terms I use in Canada.
Well, it's funny because in New York, if it's like really cold out, you say it's brick.
I've never heard that in my life.
I was.
We say so many weird things. I also just say a lot of random things, like the other people actually don't use here, and I just make up words for things.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that plenty. The more you can express yourself, the better. You know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's good. It's a good songwriting like skill is to be like really flexible with language in your general life.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being able to pronounce me with every vowel.
Me, me, mama, moo.
Like, instead of saying, like, it's cold out, I'll be like, guys, my toes are literally about to break off.
That's fun.
Like, I'll just say the most randomest of things, and people are like, what the hell? But a lot of it is, like, I hang out with a lot of hockey boys.
Oh.
So, like, we say a lot of the most, like, lately we've been saying, like, if anything's like, oh, that's cool, we're like, that's proper, bud.
Proper.
Like, literally
Proper.
just makes no sense.
For the boys.
For the boys.
Ew, no.
We watched Letterkenny. We watched Letterkenny.
Ew, no.
Ferda.
It used to be a thing. Definitely used to be a thing. But no, we make up the most random things.
Incredible. Very important question for you,
Most
Lauren.
important question.
Would you be a pirate?
Arr.
Probably not, honestly. I don't know. Being on I feel like I lived on an island, so I always was taking ferry boats. And I just don't enjoy being on large ships.
Yeah, that's a big part of being a pirate.
That is arguably the only piece.
Yeah, it's basically the gay.
Otherwise, you're just a robber. Otherwise, you're just a general thief.
You're just a just organized crime.
Yeah. The maritime elements of piracy.
Yeah.
I'm a pirate,
I
but
also
like
feel
a
like I'm
land
not
pirate.
a thief.
You're like a land pirate.
I'm like a land pirate.
I'm like Tony Soprano, the land pirate.
Tony Soprano, the land pirate.
I feel like my friends, I'm totally super aggressive and everyone's like, oh my God, chill. I'm always I'm not really a hothead, but I'll cuss somebody out. But I won't steal from people. That's I can't do that. I feel like I'm too nice for that.
That's where you draw the line.
That's where you draw the line.
Yeah. I'll yell at you and say you're a bitch, but I won't steal from you.
That's fair. Everyone's got to have their line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos?
I do. I have 3, and I'm actually getting another one in a week. I have one on my wrist that says "Love You More." I have one on my collarbone that says "Make It Happen."
Nice.
And then I have a half treble clef, half heart behind my
love that. A
ear.
classic.
That's lovely.
Yep. And I'm getting "Appreciate" written on the back of my
I like that they're
arm.
aphorisms, things that you could just remember.
Yeah, I got "Make It Happen" because me and my mom always say that. We didn't really grow up with a ton of money, and I feel so many people just use whatever bad thing in their life as an excuse to not be successful. And my mom never raised me like that. She was always it doesn't matter. You still have to make shit happen. You still have to go to school every day. You still have to get up and do that. You still have to go to work. Just because your best friend is rich doesn't have to work doesn't mean you don't have to work. Life's unfair. Get used to it. So make it happen just reminds me when I look in the mirror and I'm depressed. I'm I still have to make it happen. And then I got "Love You More." Obviously got the music one just because I love music. Yeah. But I got "Love You More" because I really struggled, still kind of struggle, but way less with just loving my body and liking what I look like. And being on social media, I feel is the worst because so many people are just you're fat, you're a whale, kill yourself, you're so fat. And that's a lot to deal with as a teenager. And so I got it on my body as in my body's telling me to love itself. So it reminds me every time I look at my wrist.
That's
yeah.
sweet. It's also just crazy to me that there are and it's obviously like as old as the internet,
People
but
are
just like
so
fucking
mean.
like adults telling a 15-year-old to kill them. Like what the fuck?
It's like 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like I remember when the I don't know if you saw this on social media, but like on Omegle, it was like a thing to go on Omegle and sing
Yeah.
and like videotape it. All my friends were blowing up for it. I was like, okay, like I'll try it. And I like literally went on Omegle. And, like the first thing someone said to me when I got on there was like, "You're so fat," and I was like, okay, skip. Like there's just one guy being mean, and then like 4 in a row, and then the last one was like, "You're so overweight, you should just kill yourself." And I was like, I'm not going on Omegle anymore. Like, it's just really hard for my mental health. Like, I don't want to be a part of this trend. And I'm like, that is just so, I can't people say that to people.
I used to do like the improvising songs about people on Omegle thing, although it was actually chat roulette when I was doing it.
Oh,
But
chat
it was
roulette.
it was just penises.
Ew, no! I've seen my fair share of those on Omegle. That is like so wrong. And like sometimes you don't realize, and then you're like, oh, and then you're like, oh, and okay.
Okay.
Like, I'm like,
That's a penis.
I'm shutting my computer. Like that was too much.
I like the idea that there's 2 warring factions of people on Omegle, which are people earnestly trying to make music for people and people who want to show off their penis, and that those 2 things
No, it's
coexist.
just
I
on
would
a
like
platform.
to argue that there's actually not as much a difference between the two as we want to believe there is.
Yeah.
Or like it's also disheartening, like when my one friend Frances literally gained 1 million followers in like a matter of 3 months on Instagram just from this Omegle thing. And I was like, I have to do this. And like I would sit there, people would be like, you can sing for me. And then I start singing. And like 5 seconds in, after they heard me sing, they'd skip. And then I'm like, okay, like, do I suck at singing or something? Like the app is just the worst. Anyone listening, don't go on Omegle. This is the worst thing ever.
I know Ben Folds during live shows used to put up a projector and literally improvise songs for like. But my question was just like, how did they never get a penis?
How do they never get a penis?
Part of me thinks
I
it was
always
like
get one.
pre-recorded.
You
or
have to
something.
You have to hashtag like specific things that have nothing to do with like sex.
I don't know. I haven't been on any of that stuff in a while. I
I don't even know how it works.
I'm
anymore.
never going
was-
on it again.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we think you're awesome and fuck mean people on the internet. Also, to the other tattoo, I remember one of the first conversations we even had was about the challenges of kind of living where we were comfortable, but not of like means, like that, like of why we have the work ethic that we do, because we came from families where there was we were never like hungry, and it was never like necessarily like a dire situation, but also like kind of like the suburban lower middle class.
Yeah, like me and my
version.
mom look back and we're like, okay, we weren't dying, but we definitely were like eating bread
Right.
and
Yeah.
like crying over the fact that we couldn't afford more than bread. But like, there's a lot of people that couldn't even afford the bread.
Yeah,
So it's
or
like,
like a
we
house.
were
Like it was,
dying.
like I lived in a house in a nice neighborhood, and I went to a nice school.
Mhm.
But also, like I had friends who had a lot more than we did.
Yeah.
It was just interesting, very interesting. But I remember that's why we like connected on it, because
Yeah.
it like made our work ethic. It made us like realize like, oh, okay, we have to kind of rely on ourselves to kind of rise above, whatever tax bracket we grew up in.
Yeah, no, completely. And that's why I'm getting like appreciate on my wrist, because I find the more successful I get and the more like money I make, like obviously the more like richer people type things I do. And I like just like as a kid, when I had no money, like you would never catch me being like, I don't do this, but just an example, like some things like they put peppers in my food by an accident, like would never catch me being like, yo, there's peppers in this. I don't want to eat it. Because I find like the more money I make, the more likely I'm to start acting like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, oh my God, like everyone around me, I'm like, never let me act like that. Like, but sometimes I'll catch myself like not having sympathy for one of my friends. And then I'm like, oh shit, like you can't afford to do that. And then I'm like, I couldn't afford to do that my whole life. Like, why did I not just have sympathy for that person? So I'm like, I need to appreciate somewhere on my body to remember to be appreciative for every little thing in life.
I have the other side of it, which is that like, for the last couple years, like we've made some really good money and we're continuing to, and we're, I've been able to save a lot, and like, I live very comfortably. Like I don't tend to spend outside of, I don't do crazy purchases. So like I know exactly how much I earn and how much I spend. And like, and it's grown. But I still have the it's all gonna go away mentality. Or like the I can't afford to like go on vacation because
I should have that mentality because I just go out and spend my money as if it's going to keep coming. And everyone's like, Lauren, you need to stop doing that. And I'm like,
no, I have
it's
such
okay.
I have
Like,
such
tap,
a scarcity mentality. Like I won't buy like a necessary piece of furniture for $200 because in the back of my head I'm like, well, what if tomorrow we need to go, flee to Japan and that ticket is going to cost and to move everything and set everything up is going to cost everything that I am. And then the obvious question is, why is that the scenario? Like, why is the scenario that I need like that my entire net worth needs to be saved for whatever disaster?
It's hard to find the medium because I'm either like that or I'm the polar opposite, and I'm like, live in the moment, like fuck it, if I die tomorrow, like I don't give a fuck, like I'm just gonna buy a $300 ticket to like Amsterdam and just like call it a day. And I'm like, I need to stop living like that. And like I mean, I save my money though at the same time, but like I just feel like I grew up with no money for so long that like I'm like, yeah, let's go to dinner. Like, I could never go to dinner. Let's go to dinner 4 times this week just because we can. And then I'm like, that is like, I need to start not doing that.
For me, like the one thing, like I don't buy clothes very often.
Can't relate.
Like I said, I just don't really spend a lot of money on stuff. The thing I probably spend the most amount of money, more than average for somebody every week, is on food because like we, when we were having trouble in Boston, we were stretching out a grocery run for a month, and like I remember one time when we realized that we weren't going to have a lot of money, Noah and I like both shared like a thing of Chinese food, realizing that like
it was probably the last good food we were going to eat for a second.
Like the last non like cup of noodles ramen that we were going to have, 7-Eleven sandwich, that we were going to have.
A lot of 7-Eleven sandwiches for a while.
So like, and also just, we weren't growing up. I wasn't able to go to
it's
like
not funny,
restaurants.
but like it's triggering my childhood memories of how like I couldn't afford to eat, and it's just so funny.
Growing up, I wasn't able to go to restaurants particularly often either. So for me, I just tend to spend a lot of money a week on like going out to eat or ordering in because I'm like, okay, that's where I'm spent. Like, I don't want to at any point feel that feeling again of like, we can't do
literally.
it,
That's my thing is when I get like saving like that, I'm like, okay, I could save that. But then if I save that and I don't go out for food, then I feel like in that shitty place again of like, I can't afford to go out to eat. And then I'm like, hate myself. And I'm like, oh, like, I just want to go out to eat. Like my whole life, I just wanted to be able to just go get food and not have to worry about what was in my bank account. And like right now, I'm like able to do that. So I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And hopefully it doesn't have any like bad repercussions.
Yeah, so like for me, food and seeing a movie in a movie theater are like sacred to me because it's like those were the things that I felt really self-conscious of and felt like a lot of shame about like growing up.
I also though, I haven't like fully, I'm like, I've moved out in a way, like I've moved out, but when I come home, like obviously like stay, I mean, I'm at my friend's house right now, but I obviously stay at home. And then when I go away for like months at a time, but I'm traveling and I'm all in different places. Like if at any given point I lost all of my money, I can still move back home. Like I still have a room, you know what I mean? So it's like, if I was renting my own apartment and paying full rent every single month, I would definitely watch what I was spending a lot more. But because I know I have something to fall back on if shit goes sideways, I don't constantly be like, oh my goodness, what if I have to get up and go to Europe tomorrow, $800? Like, I'm like, it's okay. I can just like sell this and then I'll be able to go. Like, but no, now that I'm like older too, like my birthday's coming up and my parents like, what do you want? And my parents both recently have like decenter jobs. And I usually ask for like nothing. And I was like, I want an iPad. And I was like, what are the odds my parents buy me an iPad? And like, both of them were like, okay, like, I think we could do that. And I'm like, nice. Like
my 3 luxury items. I want a nice poker set. I want an e-bike. I want a new laptop. And I said 3, but I'm actually going to say 4. And I want a PS5. Those are my luxury goods,
Yeah. I want a house. I'm like, you're laughing, but like me and my mom are going to like co-sign one. And like debatably in like January, I'm going to be buying my first house. So I'm like super close to getting it. And so I want a house. These are all really, really big things because I'm just shooting really high. I want a G-Wagon. It's like a $400,000 car.
Oh.
And these are just shooting big.
Shoot
And then
big.
I want a condo in Hawaii.
Nice.
Nice.
Very, very nice.
I want a cabin in Big Bear if we're talking bigger. I want to lease a car. I mean, we're probably gonna do this in December, but I want to lease a car that doesn't feel like I'm gonna get smushed in it. We drive a Camry now. I'm used to driving just like vans, like mom vans, or tour vans or whatever, and I'm just not used to being like.
I hate it. I drive an SUV,
Yeah.
and like I can't drive smaller cars than that because I feel like if a car hits me, I'm the one getting absolutely annihilated.
I miss having the I'm not scared of every car energy. Like I just don't feel safe in my car. I want like a spaceship.
Yeah, that's fair. I want a flat in London.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
love that. I love that for
want a
you.
flat
I
in
want you to
London.
have that so I could stay on the couch.
Exactly. That's what I really want.
No, so many of my friends are like, I can't wait till you move to LA. Like one of my friends was debating if he should move to LA or Nashville. And literally on the phone with me, he was like, maybe I should just move to Nashville because like when you get your place, I can just come stay whenever I want. And I was like, you're totally using me, but that is factual. You can come stay whenever you want. But like you're literally choosing to move to a different state because you know I'm going to have a place in the other state that you can come stay at for as long as you want.
No, I want you to have the flat that is like an attic. And it's just
Yeah.
like that beautiful, and it's got the little hatch
The
window.
little hatch window. Yeah, that is precisely what I want.
Funny.
Yeah.
Next question. What is the first concert you ever attended?
My first concert was One Direction.
Nice. Very
Nice.
good.
Yeah, it was amazing. There was like fireworks. Like it was the shit.
Yeah.
I hear Harry Styles was in that band.
He was.
Our Lord and Savior, Harry Styles.
I love him. He's just like changing the world.
Yeah, truly. He's
Like
you
so many of
tearing
my guy friends. No, I just had something in my eye.
Oh, okay.
Looked like you were crying for a second, which like is valid.
No.
I would cry over.
I'd
I'd
cry
cry
over
over
Harry
Harry
I
Styles most
am
days.
a very big Harry stan. But like some of my guy friends will wear crop tops and like someone will make fun of them. And I'm like all for that shit. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
period. Like you do it, be yourself. Like I'm the biggest advocate for all that. And so then they're like, screw you guys. Like Harry Styles does it. And I'm like, I love that you guys are looking up to Harry Styles.
I'm here for it.
Can you recommend our listeners a movie, a book, and a TV show?
My favorite movie is the Taken movies.
Nice.
Specifically the first one. So if you haven't seen them, which surprisingly, every guy I meet and like they're like, "What's your favorite movie?" And I tell them they've never seen it, and I keep having to rewatch
never
it with
seen it.
people.
I've seen the first two Takens. I saw
Shut
Taken,
up.
Taken 2 in theaters.
Okay, Taken 1's the best one out of all three. Taken 2 is not great. I'm gonna be honest, but
Are you a John Wick
Taken-
fan? I feel like
Taken.
you'd be a John Wick fan.
I am a John Wick fan.
Yeah,
Very
John
fun.
Wick is amazing. I love John Wick.
Or if you've ever seen the movie Peppermint.
No.
No.
Oh my God, that's my movie recommendation, Peppermint. It has, I forget her name, but basically like this mafia person kills her son, does a drive-by and kills her son and her daughter. And then she like trains for like 5 years, like ninja shit. And then comes back 5 years later and like takes down the whole mafia. It's like,
Holy shit.
That sounds
it's
really
the whole
fun.
thing. No, it's actually like, it's one of those movies where you're like on the edge of your seat. You're like, ah! Like, I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. Definitely recommend that. A book. I recently read a book called Brightline Eating. I never read any books that like aren't like educational, honestly. And that book made me like stop eating like bread and all of this stuff for a while. Don't read it to like, you're supposed to read it if you're going to go on the diet. But like it taught me so much about like the human brain and like how we're like addicted to sugar and like all of these foods we're addicted to and how like literally the human body is addicted to sugar more than it is addicted to cocaine. And like
Yeah.
they did all these studies and like it's just crazy to like actually recognize how your brain works with food. And like it's just, I don't know. I really liked the book. It made me want to be healthier in life. Or if you're in the music industry, you've never read the Everything You Know About the Music.
Passman. You gotta
Business.
read the
You gotta
Passman.
read the
Never, if
Passman.
you've never read it, you should probably read that
Read
one.
the Passman.
Yeah, I think there's two actually. There's like an older one. There's like a newer one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 9
Yeah,
editions
it's like,
now. I love whenever somebody who like isn't in the game yet picks up the Passman. I'm like, if you like the book, wait until you see the movie.
Yeah, literally. Anyone I know that's new, I'm like, have you read the book? They're like, no. I'm like, get the book, buy the book, read the book, make notes in the book, like do whatever you need to do in the book. And a TV show. Honestly, I haven't really watched that great of a TV show lately, but I'm currently in the middle of watching Manifest.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
And it's getting a little boring, but I'm already into it. That I'm like, I need to know what happens at the end. But also scares me because I travel a lot.
Right,
So now every
right.
time I get in a plane, I'm like, I'm going to disappear for 5 fucking years and come back and have no family. But I would recommend watching it, I guess. It's a long series, so you'll be watching it for a while.
Speaking of Manifest, I've been watching The Leftovers.
Oh yeah, Noah's been watching The Leftovers. I'm so happy you're finally watching.
Which is a show about, what is it, 2% of the world's population?
2% of the world's
2% of the
population.
world's population disappears abruptly on one day.
Damn.
Wait, if
And
you haven't watched The Leftovers, that's some good
No, I need
shit.
to watch
That's
that.
a meaty TV show.
It's so good.
Actually, I have a better TV show recommendation.
Hit me.
I have actually been watching the D'Amelio show on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I already knew this as a like little micro influencer, but like it gives you like the reality of like what Charlie and Dixie go through, and like it just shows them like crying and having mental breakdowns, being like, everyone hates us for no fucking reason. Like, I left the gym looking sweaty, and like the whole internet is making fun of how I looked musty when I left the gym, and like just how they literally can't escape from like the public eye. And I feel like it just makes people view influencers differently. Like, if you've ever like hated on a celebrity or an influencer for no reason, you're like, I just don't fucking like them. Like, I just don't like that actor. Like, it almost makes you like second guess saying that, because you're like, I actually don't even know that person. And like, I don't know. I really like that show, and it was a big eye opener.
Our friends and podcast alumni, Loot, they were in an episode with Dixie. And when she goes to the studio, she's writing with Jackson and Emma.
Oh, that's sick.
That's the only part of the show I've watched.
Well, I especially liked watching it because I have friends that are friends with Charlie and Dixie. So like, I obviously don't know them, but a part of me feels like I know their presence in a way because some of my friends are friends with them. So like, it definitely, I don't know, if you like don't sympathize for influencers and you're like, they do nothing. Like, so many of my friends are like, you don't even do anything. Like, you make money, and like, it just really shows you the behind the scenes of like what influencers and like singers and like people like that actually do every single day
For sure.
to like make their money and what they go through.
It's a job like anything else.
It's a job like anything else.
Next question. Do you have a scar with a story?
I do have a scar with a story. I have a scar on my right thigh. And in middle school, I was curling my hair and I dropped my curling iron and landed on my thigh. And it was like blistering. Like, it was like a 3rd-degree burn or something like that.
Oof.
Literally had to go to the hospital. It was huge. And like the scar is still there. And I hate my legs, looking at my legs, because I see the scar every time.
Oh, I love the scars on me, though. Especially if they are funny stories, you know? You got a scar now, buddy.
I'm about to have a
You're gonna have a gnarly
scar.
He's gonna
Yeah,
have like
damn.
he's gonna have like a scar where
Wait.
like if you saw it in a movie on his shoulder, you'd be like, that's a fake scar.
Yeah.
like
I feel like when guys have scars, though, it's like, oh my God, like that guy has a scar. Like, that's so cool. Then when girls have scars, it's just like, ew, why does she have a scar?
I don't know. We're breaking that. We're breaking that
breaking
trend
the
right
mold.
now on
Fuck
the.
Yeah,
the
we're
patriarchy.
breaking it right now.
Fuck
Women
that.
can
Fuck
have
the double
scars.
standard. We're talking lion.
Scars are
They'll
cool.
say it started here.
They'll say it started here. Scars are cool and sexy no matter what your gender is.
Live a life.
Period.
You can't live a life unscathed.
Yeah, what I love about this question is no one has ever said no.
Yeah.
I always say, do you have a scar with a story? And no one's ever been like, no. Like, everyone's always like, yes, let me tell you about the time that I was injured.
Yeah. I also have a scar on like the back of my left knee. I just had MRSA, like a really bad staph infection. I was messed up.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really long story, so remind me to get into it, but I was like super dead, couldn't walk. It was awful.
Damn.
Shit.
Nextly, do you have...
Nextly.
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 Next. What are 3 thoughts you have at this very moment?
I don't know why I'm envisioning us like downstairs in your house by that piano. This whole conversation, I've been envisioning us writing Best Friend.
Nice.
I love that.
I don't know. I keep thinking of me on a plane and then I'm going to disappear. I'm going to Amsterdam, so I keep envisioning myself on a plane to Amsterdam. And for some reason, I'm thinking of squatting with the free weight at the gym.
Nice.
Those are the 3
Yeah.
food groups.
The 3 food groups.
Yeah.
The 3 genders.
Songwriting, travel, and gym.
Yeah, for real.
And lastly, what are you looking forward to?
That made it seem like I'm not looking forward to anything, but I'm looking forward to a lot, and I'm just trying to nail it down to like what I'm most excited for. Well, I'm going to England, and I haven't seen my family in like 3 years, and they all live in England. So I'm really excited to see my grandparents and all my cousins and everyone. But
That's proper.
yeah, that's proper, bud. Yeah. That is so, my hockey friends are going to listen to this and be like, no way he fucking said proper, bro.
Hey, hockey bros. Ferda.
Ew, guys. You literally just sounded like 10-year-olds and you're like, oh my goodness.
I'm looking forward to if Best Friend comes out. I didn't know
It will. No, that one definitely is coming out on the EP for sure. Everyone I know that I played it to is obsessed with it. But also all my songs are very sad. And that's the one that's like slightly like, woo, like we can actually maybe stand up off a stool for this one.
Right.
So that one definitely has to be on the EP because I need to perform it on tour.
You have one requirement though, which is that you have to make it viral on TikTok so that we could keep ordering expensive food.
I know, hopefully. I need it to go viral on TikTok so I can keep ordering expensive food. So
We're in this together,
we're
bud.
in the same boat, yeah.
Oh man, well, Lauren, it's so good to see you. I'm so happy that you're on the podcast, and it's just been so fun hanging out and writing with you. So thank you so much for being here.
No, thank you for having me. This was so fun.
We'll talk to you soon.
'Cause I die 1,000 times not to have you on my mind, and I wish we never met, or I hated you instead. 'Cause I think we passed this up, falling in and out of love. Wish I could pick a different end. We go back to being friends.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Talking Lion.
We would like to thank New Wave, The Truffleist, and Isotope for their support of Talking Lion.
If you'd like to show your support, ask our guests your questions, talk to us on Discord, and get a shout out at the end of each episode, subscribe to our Patreon over at patreon.com/talkinglion.
Thank you for listening, and see you next time.